I'm completely exhausted. The 2 long weeks on the road associated with the launch of a new international office in London, combined with excessive travel, exhausted me. But the worst thing was being away from my girls, and the 16-hour drive home was a living hell, even in first class. I hated being away from my girls and my wife. I always do. But the lifestyle I've created for my family means that work can be challenging. Due to the high demand, my energy company has grown and spread to 12 countries. 5 years ago, I bought out the share of Roger, my partner. These 5 years have been difficult, but at the same time useful. But I am finally ready to sit back and enjoy success, as I have hired a new president to lead the operation while I myself remain CEO and owner. I plan to tell the girls the good news as soon as I get home. I'm excited because I'll have more time with my family and friends and I'll be able to get back to normal. Don't get me wrong, I love how my company has grown, but deep down my goal has always been to spend most of my time watching my girls grow up and spend more time with my wife. I feel happy that I finally got the opportunity to step back and enjoy the fruits of my labor at the age of 45. My life may have been stressful, but it has always been full of love and warmth. I wouldn't change anything, and now I'm looking forward to the next chapter of my life with my family. 30 minutes from home, while my driver was maneuvering through traffic jams, I was sitting in the back seat of the limo, relaxing and enjoying a second glass of bourbon, which I poured from the sidebar after we left the airport. As we drove along the circular driveway, the house seemed quiet, but I knew from experience that in a few minutes, the girls would jump on their daddy and their mom would greet me with a warm kiss and the promise of a wonderful night with her in my arms. To my horror, I entered an empty house. The only sound was the driver putting my bags in the lobby. I called out to them. There was no response. It was weird. The girls were always at home when I returned from a trip. I was hoping everything was fine. Then I saw an envelope with my name written in her wonderful handwriting. To Jonathan from his lone wife, Zoe. Jonathan, my love. What an amazing journey we have made as husband and wife. I have treasured every minute of the last 16 years and look forward to the next 50 that I will spend together as your loving wife. Darling, you know that I love you so much and you are the whole world to me. You are my whole life and I can't live without you. The love you give me is all I want, and I long to be in your arms every day. I've missed you so much over the past 2 weeks and I can't wait to see you later, tonight. There are several reasons for this letter, dear. First of all, I want to thank you for being you, for giving me the most wonderful 16 years of my life, for being a wonderful father to our children, for the wonderful lifestyle that you allowed us to experience, and most importantly, for all the love that you constantly pour out on me. The other reason is something I feel a need to share. This is something that has been bothering me for the last 6 months. This is something I never expected, and unfortunately, it has become an important part of my life. Everything you've just read is true, and I speak every word from the bottom of my heart. So what I'm about to tell you is the hardest thing I've ever done. No matter how much I love you and will never stop loving you, I have to confess something. I pray that you will understand and not be disappointed in me and not leave me because of this. I've had a man for the last 6 months. I don't have any feelings or love for this man, but we have a bad relationship. The reason I'm telling you this now is because of respect and a deep sense of guilt. I can't live with this guilt anymore, and I need you to know that I've been unfaithful. You'll never understand it, but I don't feel love for him, just an attraction that I can't explain. He does things to me that I can't put into words, and no matter how hard I try, I can't stop it. He has become my addiction, and I need him in my life. Please believe that I have done my best to keep this a secret from you and not let it affect our lives. Nothing has changed between us since it started, but I understand that it can end soon, so it's only fair that you find out all about it. No secrets, baby. I love and respect you too much to ever do that. Please understand that my need for him is purely physical, and I will not allow my being with him to interfere with our love or intimacy. I just needed to let you know that there's another part of me that I gave to another man, but this part of me has nothing to do with my love for you and the importance of our family. Family is the most important part of my life and my number one value. Nothing will change that. Our girls are staying the night at your mom's, so don't worry about them, and they can't wait to see their dad in the morning. I'm with my friend tonight because I wanted to give you some time alone to read my letter and figure out how things will go from here. I'll be home around 10 p.m., and we can pick up where we left off, as if nothing has changed, because nothing has changed, dear. Just remember when you read this that you are the love of my life and I am yours until death do us part. I'm yours, baby, and I'll give you anything you want or need. Thank you for being you and the best husband a girl can dream of. To love always and forever, your devoted wife, Zoe. After finishing the letter, I realized that the glass of bourbon I was drinking had now become part of the next wall. I didn't remember even throwing a glass, let alone throwing it with such force that a few shards actually stuck into the wall. The ability to make quick decisions is what led me to success in business, and now I was acting out of habit. I took out a piece of paper and wrote a reply letter, sealed the envelope, on the front of which her name was clearly written, and put it on the table next to the envelope that was addressed to me. I put her letter in my pocket, took some luggage, and went up to the girls' room to pack clothes for a few days, as we had a short trip ahead of us. In the car, I called my supervisor and told him to prepare a corporate plane for a trip to San Francisco, where I was going to stay for the near future with my girls. By 6:30 that evening, I was in my car on my way to my mom and dad's house to pick up the girls. I have a corporate apartment next to my California office, where I've already stored a full set of clothes and everything necessary for a long stay. When I drove up to my parents' house, the girls ran out to greet me with a big smile on their faces and 100 kisses. They were happy to see me, and I felt like I was smiling for the first time since I got home. Dad's home. We missed you, Daddy, and we didn't think we'd see you before tomorrow. Mom said you won't be back until tomorrow. She was supposed to meet her friend Jamie tonight, and we came here to see Grandma and Grandpa. I hugged and kissed them and felt tears flow down my face from all this love and the realization that their lives were about to change because of their mother. Jamie's name did not escape my attention, and for a while I put it in my memory bank. After the girls calmed down, I told them that I had a surprise and that we were going on a trip for a few days, and they were going to fly on the company plane. I promised them a fun and exciting vacation. Convincing the girls was the easiest part. Explaining something to Mom and Dad is a completely different story. They clearly felt my pain and objected to me taking the girls until I let them read the letter. I explained that I needed some time to get to a safe place to think and plan everything without letting emotions get in the way. Then I explained that I had left a letter for Zoya and would call her from the plane. Finally, I promised that I would be back within 2 weeks and that it was just a short trip and that I would not worry about the girls, as they would be well taken care of. When we boarded the plane, the girls were running up and down the aisle of the 16-seat passenger plane and playing with the flight attendant who adored girls. Jessica was one of our regular assistants, and over the past 2 years, we have become good friends. Spending hours alone on flights can create friendships with the right people. It was 11 o'clock, and the girls were asleep. The lights in the cabin were dimmed, and the atmosphere was calm and relaxing. That's when I dialed the home number to talk to Zoe. "Jonathan, where are you, honey?" "Zoe, listen carefully and don't interrupt, because I might lose touch at this altitude. I already know that you have read my letter, and you know that the girls are with me. They'll call you in the morning. I'll call you in the next few days to discuss everything. Call my mom and dad if you need anything in the meantime. Good night." I hung up before she could answer. The flight went smoothly, and we landed at 1 o'clock in the morning. I carried the girls to a waiting limo, and then sometime later I went up to my house. I put them to bed, kissed them, and 10 minutes later I fell asleep without even unpacking my things. We'll have plenty of time for that tomorrow. Jennifer, 13, and Cassie, 15, looked at me curiously after the call. Cassie, as the eldest, had a sad look. "Did Mom betray you, Daddy?" My heart broke when I heard her question. Holding back tears, I just shook my head and told them to get dressed for dinner. It was the hardest thing I have ever had to do, but I knew that with love and support, they would cope with the difficulties ahead. Earlier that morning, before the girls got up, I called my family lawyer, who was on the East Coast and was already sitting at his desk. I've known George for 20 years, and we've been through a lot together, so I told him the story and what I wanted to happen without any preliminaries. George, I need to know what a divorce will look like and how bad it will be. I want to get custody of the children, no matter what it costs. There's no reconciliation, counseling, or forgiveness. I want this to be over as soon as possible. There was silence on the other end of the line for a long moment. I understood and gave him the opportunity to digest the news. He was probably as surprised by my words as I was when I read Zoe's letter. Jonathan, I'm so sorry this happened. Kate and I always thought you two were the perfect couple, and I can't figure out how she could do that, but I understand what you're asking. Do you remember when you and Roger started a company and he demanded that a prenuptial agreement be signed before? Agreeing to start a business with you? Do you remember how adamant he was about what happened to his last business and how his wife cheated on him? Well, your prenuptial agreement is drawn up and up to date, and if she really has an affair, she renounces her rights to children and any financial benefits from marriage. For many years, while your company was growing, I maintained a premarital relationship, worked with your corporate lawyers, and transferred most of your property into trust management. And you were a benefactor. A house, cars, bank accounts, and investments, everything falls under this trust, which cannot be touched. This means that if she has violated the marriage contract, she leaves the marriage with what she entered into it and loses any rights to children. I know we didn't put all this together for this purpose, but it looks like everything will turn out in your favor. George, you're right. I would never have thought in a million years that she would betray me, and I completely forgot about the marriage contract. But, George, all I have is a letter confessing to her infidelity. What else do we need? Well, her confession on video or tape would help, along with some photos or a confession of her man. George, can you take care of this while I'm here in California with the girls? Money doesn't matter, and I want to get proof as soon as possible. I don't want this to drag on. There's a name that my girls mentioned, a guy named Jamie. The only Jamie I know is the tennis instructor at our country club. Can you negotiate with a private investigator and suggest that he start with this? I'm sure she'll contact her name while I'm gone. Of course, Jamie. The tennis instructor was my sworn enemy. They were careless, which made it easier for the private firm to complete the investigation. With my permission, they installed a tracker on Zoya's car, audio recording devices inside the car, and video cameras in our house. All the evidence obtained from these devices was legitimate due to the fact that my company controlled them through a trust. Over the next week, they had enough audio and video recordings, as well as her written confession, to get the case off the ground. I never watched or listened to any testimonies, as I didn't want these images to haunt me for the rest of my life. Of course, Jamie turned out to be a womanizer, and he had to leave his last 2 jobs because he slept with other married women. He was much younger, in great shape, and all the ladies in the club were in love with him. Zoe was just one of the many wives he had an affair with at the club. Obviously, middle-aged married women are an easy target for this club professional. George called me 5 days after our first conversation to inform me about the progress of the investigation. Jonathan, we have all the necessary evidence. What do you want us to do? Are you still going to divorce Zoe? Without hesitation, I replied, draw up the divorce papers with the utmost care. I want Zoe to feel some of the pain she caused me and realize how much she screwed up. We can arrange it, and I will work from the point of view of professional tennis and contact you. I plan to be at home and wait for her after she is notified on Tuesday. I'll make sure to be home before she gets home. Are you sure you're going to divorce her, Jonathan? As we are saying now, definitely. However, I have to think about the girls and talk to her before signing the papers. It's hard, George, and I hope you never have to go through anything like that. I love this woman with all my heart, and I just can't stop this love. I also hate what she did to me and the girls, and I will never be able to forgive that. Whatever you decide, I'm here to help, Jonathan. Stay in touch and we'll let you know as soon as she's notified. We arrived home on Tuesday morning around 9:00 a.m., and the girls were happy to return home. I told them that after their mom gets back from tennis lesson, I would like them to stay in their rooms while their mom and I sort things out. I could tell they were upset and worried, and I tried my best to let them know that everything would work out. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Since Zoe was still the mother of my 2 girls, I paid for the first 3 months for a small furnished 2-bedroom apartment, which was located near our house and the club. I also bought a 3-year-old Toyota Samga for her so she could drive. I knew I didn't have to give her anything, but I needed my kids to be able to see their mom whenever they wanted. Yes, the Lamborghini and the rich lifestyle are now a thing of the past. She gave up everything for some loser tennis player she'd never see again. Being a nice guy like me, I even got her a job at a country club. Yes, the country club was happy to help as soon as I withdrew my claim. They agreed to get rid of Jamie and help Zoe with employment if I stopped the lawsuit. Zoe is no longer a member of the country club, but is now one of the waitresses at the club, which helps her pay the bills. Since she had no experience or training for any other job, her only option was to get a job as a waitress at a club. I'm sure she felt humiliated when she turned from one of the famous members of the club into one of their waitresses. Of course, Jamie had dumped Zoe as soon as the lawsuit started, in an attempt to keep her job, so now she had no one to go home to. The girls told me that their mother cried every night because of love and lifestyle, which she gave up in order to satisfy some selfish needs. It took all this for her to realize what she had done and how stupid she was to think that her husband would accept her selfish desires. I was sad about how things turned out, and I told the girls that I still loved their mom and that they should love and forgive her. They stayed close and saw Mom on weekends. Later that year, when she was picking up the girls, we had our first friendly conversation. She told me that she finally realized what she had done and begged me to forgive her for her actions. Jonathan, I know we won't be together anymore and you'll never be able to trust me again, but I wanted to apologize and beg you to forgive me. Now I understand what I did and how much I hurt you. My life was completely different, and I was a spoiled woman who didn't care about the whole world. Then I felt entitled and justified in my actions and didn't even think about how you would react. Now I know what I've done and what I've put you through, and I'm so sorry. If there was a way to get it all back, I'd do it in a second. Losing you was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and I miss you and your love so much that it hurts. I've matured over the last year, and when I look back, I can't believe I was so stupid and gave up everything because of my selfish, righteous attitude. I'm so sorry that I ruined everything, and I